Welcome back to part 2 of our Adirondak Chair build. What we're doing here is cleaning up our wider boards and planing them to get them ready for cutting and routing. This process is the same as before. We're going to take our template on our wider pieces here, trace them out, and cut them on the bandsaw. Here we have a better view of cutting it on the bandsaw, staying on the outside of the Sharpie line there so we have enough material for when we use our flush trim bit on the router table. Now for the fun part, we'll attach our template to our cutout piece of wood there and bring it over to the router table. Our template bit is all set up here, so we'll just run this through like the other pieces and get it nice and cleaned up. It is the same process for the leg piece here. We're going to attach our template and move it over to the router table, get it cleaned up as well. Here we have the chamfer bits set up. You can use a round over bit as well, but the customer here wanted them chamfered. And all our pieces are going to get run through and chamfered, clean up those corners real nice, soften the corners, and we'll move on to assembly. On our leg piece here, we need to sharpen this corner, so we're going to do that with a chisel. Let's get it to a nice 90 degrees so that our cross piece will fit. So here we are installing rubber feet on the chairs here to prevent moisture from wicking up into the wood from whatever they're sitting on, concrete, pavers, the lawn, etc. The same thing for our front leg pieces here. We're going to install a couple of rubber feet. Just like before, I'm using a centering bit to pilot the holes and just installing them with the screws they came with. Alright, finally assembly. We're going to start with this cross piece here with our legs, our hind legs supported on the bench there. We're just going to glue and use our brad nailer to assemble these. For our front seat slat here, I opted to pilot and countersink and use wood screws to secure this with glue. So here we are using our front seat slat to secure our initial frame assembly. With that done, we're going to install our front legs using stainless steel carriage bolts and nuts. None of the bolted assemblies require glue, as they will have to be shifted later as we assemble and square everything off. Here we're installing the uprights for our back using the same carriage bolts and nuts, and these can be tightened. The front one should have been left a little bit loose because they will have to be shifted for assembly later. For our top backrest piece here, what I'm doing is I'm marking where those verticals will have to land. So when we go to assemble it, we can line up these lines with the verticals as seen here and get it in the right spot. This is assembled with glue and brad nails like the other components. Here we are, just making sure those lines line up with these uprights as I mentioned before, so we have everything in the right spot and looking good. Alright, now it's time to cut the slats for the back there. They're 3" on the top and 2" on the bottom, so we're going to set it up in our tapering jig. We're going to make the initial cut so we can get 2 slats out of this board on one side and then split it down the middle. So now we'll just set up our tapering jig to get our second back slat out of that board there. Please subscribe and follow. We'll see you in the next video.